guys. There's so many of you out there tonight. I want to thank you guys for coming. It's so awesome to see new faces tonight and familiar faces. Welcome back. But let's jump right in because I know you guys want dips and dessert, right? Okay. But you know, I believe I had this idea, this word, a long time ago. A couple months ago when I brought it to the team. I wasn't sure quite what it looked like, but I had this idea to speak on, it was called The Secret Place, tonight. But over the past week, I have felt like, was that the right decision? I just don't know. Because usually we have very hyped nights, okay? Or we just go downstairs and there's karaoke and we're crazy and it's just a fun night, and that's fine. But I feel like as a church, we're just getting to a different place. I'm all for fun, but I think God is calling us to something different. He's calling us to something higher. And as I started talking, I did not send this message. Usually I let Michael read my messages, but this one I'm like, I'm in charge. So, but I was talking to him about this story I was trying to get together, and he is actually touching on something very similar on Sunday, and the whole idea of his message. So you got to come back Sunday. I believe that God is speaking something specifically to Riverside, but also to the global church. I feel like he's calling us to a different thing. And so today when I doubted what I was going to speak about, I got a message from a friend saying, I know you're busy, but God has been speaking to you. Just speak it out. That's who you are. It was just confirmation that I knew this is what I was supposed to do tonight. So we're going to hang in tight for a few minutes, okay? Okay. All right. But I want to talk to you about the secret place, and I know that some of you are on a journey even to find Jesus, but the great thing is he actually has already found you. You're here tonight. There's a reason why each and every one of you are sitting in these seats tonight. I believe that when we have placed our lives in God's hands and we are longing for more peace, more joy, more understanding, you know, I hear things, especially after I preached on Sunday. I hear things from people like, how do you hear God's voice, Rachel? When you say that God told you something, how do you hear his voice? How do you know it's him? And you guys, it's as simple as it's a relationship. It's when in these moments I'm so overcome with emotion on what I'm going to speak on, I can't even get my words out right now. And since I've been a little girl, I have talked to him. I've talked to him. So now I know his voice. If you have a relationship with somebody and you don't talk to them, you don't know them. It says in John 10:27, my sheep hear my voice and I know them and they follow me. You know, my word for this year, which is probably why the Lord has led me in this direction for tonight, my word for the year, which I always thought those were so cheesy, but here I am. But my word for the year was presence. To walk fully in his presence, not just be aware of it, but to walk fully in his presence. And tonight I want to talk about the secret place. The passage from my favorite piece of scripture that you heard at the beginning tonight on the video, Psalm 91, is the basis for tonight. And I love the New King James Version. I don't read that version very often, but the New King James Version says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. It says, he who dwells in the secret place. To dwell means to live in a specified place. And what place does it say? The secret place. The shelter, which the Hebrew word for shelter is seter. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's S-E-T-E-R. All my Wednesday night class people know I struggle with the Hebrew stuff. But it's seter, which means secret place. A shelter, a refuge, a hiding place. And the definition said it's like a hidden nook. So tonight I'm coming to you from this chair. This chair is actually from my office here, but I have one at home similar. And every morning I sit in that chair. And that chair has become my hidden nook. My hidden nook where I come under the shelter of the shadow of the Almighty. It's a physical place representing my heart that is so hidden in His. Because it's not just a physical place. To dwell means all the time. So yes, I come to Him in the morning, I spend this time with Him in the morning, but then it's through the day. It's calling on Him all day. To dwell, not to stop by, not to check in, but to dwell, to live in. So how do we do this? It's like I said, it's a relationship with Him. It's talking with Him. It's walking with Him. It's reading His word. It's getting it inside of us so we know it. And when we talk of shelter, it's also translated as a shield. And shields used in biblical times were often made of layered cowhide, and they were used for close combat or for weapons that were just hurled at them at close combat. And these shields could be used either to shade you from the heat or to rest under at night. The shield had to be effective, so it had to be made just for them and just for their size and their need. And as I was reading this, I think this is true for us also. We need that appropriate shelter for whatever we are facing, whether it's to shade you from the heat of life that comes or whether it's just to rest in His presence. But how do we find it? It's in that secret place. It's in that hiding place of protection. And I've learned the past few years, especially, the necessity of the secret place in my life. His refuge, His rest, it's rest in God. The secret place is comfort, it's strength, it's protection in His presence, it's trusting Him, it's resting in Him that He is God and that we are not, and it's knowing His character and knowing that no matter what we face, He is still a good God, even though it doesn't feel like it. And Jesus speaks of the secret place in Matthew when He speaks of the Lord's Prayer. And He's teaching the disciples how to pray. But in Matthew 6:11, it says, "Give us today our daily bread." We need Him daily to give us what we need for that day. I don't know about you, but I can't survive on one meal a week. Obviously. No. We cannot survive on one meal a week. So coming on a Sunday, coming on a Wednesday, it's not going to sustain you in life. It's going to encourage you. It's going to send you out, but you have to come to the Lord yourself. And Jesus said this in Matthew 6, "But when you pray, go away by yourself, shut the door behind you, and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father who sees everything will reward you." The New King James says, "Pray to your Father who is in the secret place." Now, like I said, I have this set up very much like at home. It's the chair that I meet with God. It's where my kids watch me meet with God. I don't hide in the morning by myself, although it's usually, no one's up usually. But they come around, they see me spending time in this chair. But there are moments, there have been times in the middle of the night when I go down to this chair. There are times early in the morning when I'm at this chair. There are tears in the carpet at the foot of this chair where I have cried out to Him for my kids, where I have cried out to Him for this church, where I've cried out to him for my own needs, where I've praised him, I've thanked him for restoring things in my life. It's my physical secret place. And the secret place, it's a consistent dwelling place for God to inhabit every part of our life, everywhere we go, and in everything we do. You know, the end of 2018, 2019, before we became lead pastors here, we walked through some really tough leadership things. And walking into 2020, I'd never felt so much peace and pain all at the same time. I had never had such a peace that God was calling us in the right direction, that we were going in the right direction, walking into his promises of God that he had spoken over our lives for years. But I also felt the pain of it, the pain of loss, of relationships, critics, insecurity, the weight of people thinking we couldn't do it, the weight of everything. But it was an unreal amount of peace in the midst of pain. I remember at the time singing songs like Tonight, with tears rolling down my face, singing graves, he's gonna turn graves into gardens. I'm gonna see a victory when I knew we weren't anywhere near a victory. You're gonna do it again. I'm gonna sing in the middle of my storm. Literally in the presence of my enemies, I was singing these songs. And I could name so many more. And then 2020 hit, and we all know how that went. And I questioned everything all over again. And so I believed at that time God was bringing me back to a place of dwelling with him. He was saying, Rachel, in the loneliness, in the pain, I need you to dwell with me. I need you to live in this place with me. I need you to come close. As James 4:8 says, come close to God, and God will come close to you. And I know we all have moments where we feel like life is just pelting us in the face. And one by one, things are coming at us. People leave, relationships dissolve, peace becomes panic, chaos is surrounded. We feel alone. And for some of us, we just need to get through the day, and some of us, we just need to get through the hour. But he's saying, come close to me, and I will come close to you. So how do we do this? It's focusing on the dwelling over distraction. The dwelling over distraction. I know for me, distraction is huge with my ADD self. I've had to put my phone on the other side of the room sometimes during my quiet times because my mind will wander, or I'm so busy, my brain gets clouded and I go off to different areas or thinking about my day. And sometimes it's good things. Sometimes it's good things that I'm thinking about. But let's look at these two ladies in Luke 10:38 through 42. As Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits there while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. There is only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken from her. So we see here that Martha is distracted. The thing is, she was distracted with good things. She was going to serve Jesus a meal. She was preparing for Jesus, but she missed it. She missed it. Because doing things for Jesus is a lot different than being with Jesus. And we can get so distracted with our lives, and sometimes not bad things, just life. You know, Miranda spoke in Staff Chapel this week, which just confirmed this message. She didn't know I was talking about this, but she talked about Mary and Martha that morning, and it was just confirmation. And she said this, Jesus and time with him can become another thing on our check-off list instead of the source. Another thing to do instead of being our source. And I was actually meeting with her a few weeks ago too, and we were talking about this very thing, trying to find time. And, she has a new baby. I have teenagers, all the things, and so much from kids to work to home and church and extended family, all of the things. It's hard to carve out time, quiet time. And I've been through that. So we were talking through some of that. And I told her, I said, you need to change your perspective. Instead of looking at all the things that are on your plate, you need to view God as the plate. It's a necessity because he is the one that holds everything on the plate. So talking with him through the day. Martha was worried about all the details. It distracted her from the one who carries all the details. He carries the worries. He carries the upsets. And it says Mary sat at his feet listening to what he taught. Martha was too busy talking and looking at Mary that she couldn't hear what Jesus was saying. One of my pet peeves as a parent, or with anybody really, is when people talk over you. Sometimes my ADD, I will do that. But you're trying to guide them in something, but they're talking over you, usually teenagers because they know better than what you're saying. But I feel sometimes we're like that with Jesus. He's trying to guide us. He's trying to counsel us, but we're too busy talking. We're too busy. We can't be quiet enough to listen. We need to be still. You see, Martha knew he was present, but Mary knew his presence. So we need dwelling over distraction, but we also need presence over present. If someone's to ever invite you to their home and not acknowledge you, I would say it's probably not a great relationship. No, if you know someone, they're going to greet you. They're going to ask you if you need anything. You're going to take their coat. You're going to sit, eat, spend time together. If you know them real well, you're just going to walk in, throw off your shoes, and sit down. But so often we treat Jesus like we don't know him. And we see another example of this from Mary at Bethany, the same Mary that sat at his feet. Mary was getting it, okay? You need to read about Mary at Bethany. The same Mary who sat at his feet listening to him. Now we see her 6 days before the Passover had began in John 12, 1-8. 6 days before the Passover celebration began, Jesus arrived in Bethany, the home of Lazarus, the man he had raised from the dead. A dinner was prepared in Jesus' honor. Martha served, and Lazarus was among those who ate with him. Then Mary took a 12-ounce jar of perfume and made from essence of nard, and she anointed Jesus' feet with it. Wiping his feet with her hair, the house was filled with fragrance, but Judas Iscariot, the disciple who would betray him, said the perfume was worth a year's wages. It should have been sold and given to the poor, the money given to the poor. Not that he cared for the poor, he was a thief, and since he was in charge of disciples' money, he would often steal for himself. And Jesus replied, "Leave her alone. She did this in preparation for my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me." Mary got it. Jesus was present at the dinner. Everyone knew he was present, but Mary was in his presence. She offered her worship. It was, like we sang tonight, it was all about him. And in another account of this, Jesus was in Bethany at the home of Simon in Mark 14:3. A man who had previously had leprosy. While he was eating, a woman came in with a beautiful alabaster jar of expensive perfume made from the essence of nard, and she broke open the jar and poured the perfume over his head. It said she broke open the jar. And in the midst of our brokenness, and in the midst of our pain, And in the midst of our insecurity and our unworthiness and our loneliness and our grief, the things that in this secret place we can bring to his feet. In the dwelling of his presence, in the shelter of the Almighty. You see, the fragrance of our brokenness before him lets him know we're aware of his presence. When we dwell in his shadow and his shelter, it's also our protection, like we talked about earlier. Psalm 91:4. He will cover you with his feathers. He will shelter you with his wings. His faithful promises are your armor and protection. He will cover you with his feathers. This is a beautiful picture of a mother bird that will spread their wings to protect the young. As they are at rest or they're flying to protect them from storms and predators, they will face the injury to protect them. The birds feel safe under the wing. He will cover you with his feathers. He's wanting you to cover you from the storms and predators of this life. The sin and the life that happens to us. He's wanting to protect us from it, but we have to allow him in. We have to come close to us so he can come close to us. And there's an enemy out there that is after our souls. A strategic plan to take you out. And if he can't take you out, then he's going to distract you. Or he's going to make you do nothing. He's not scared if you don't do anything. But the strategies he uses are sneaky, or they can be in-your-face attacks. And another translation said, he will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. Rampart in Hebrew is sohera, which translates to shield, protective barrier, or a defensive wall. A defensive wall. I picture in a movie that I've watched that I'm not going to tell you which one it is. When they were at war, there was an invisible barrier that came around them, and as these arrows flew at them, they just kind of bounced off. As the enemy tried to break through the barrier, the arrows would just bounce off because they had that protection around them. And that's what I picture in our life. When we come close to God, he's putting this barrier around us. When those arrows come, and they are hard, and they are going to try to take us out, and sometimes they may even get through. He's wanting to come. And he wants us in his shadow, in the secret place. His promises over our life are that protective barrier. The promise that he is with us, that no matter what we go through, when it feels like the enemy is winning, that he is right there beside us. The power of his presence daily in our lives. You know, the secret place is something we shouldn't take for granted. In the Garden of Eden, at the very beginning, God walked with Adam and Eve. He talked with them. They had an unhindered relationship. That's how it was supposed to be, this perfect garden where we would commune with God, and nothing would hinder that. We were unashamed. That's how it was supposed to be, until Eve sinned and ate of the fruit of the tree he asked them not to. And in that moment, there was a chasm that came between God and us. And in the Old Testament, they would have to make sacrifices of spotless animals to atone for their sin. I want you to hang with me. I'm going somewhere. Sounds deep, but I'm going somewhere. But in the Old Testament, sacrifices were made of a spotless animal to atone for the sin. And there was this place in the tabernacle, in the Bible, called the tabernacle. This is where they would place what they called the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant was a gold wooden chest It was covered with gold, a wooden chest covered with gold that held the 10 Commandments that Moses had brought down from Mount Sinai. It signified the dwelling place of God at the time. You would call the tabernacle maybe a church building now, where the presence of God would dwell. And I loved talking about the tabernacle back in Sunday school back in the day. I don't know if you guys went to Sunday school when you were little, but I did. And these old schoolers will know the flannel graph, okay? The flannel graph was this fuzzy board. They would tell you a story about these Bible characters, and there would be like a tree or something on it, and then they would like take out a character like Zacchaeus, and they just like slap it on there. But anyway, I remember learning about the tabernacle that way, and it was always had stuck with me. And it consisted of an outer court, a holy place, and then a most holy place, known as the Holy of Holies. It's where they kept the Ark of the Covenant. It's where God's presence was. It's the Holy of Holies. And there's also a curtain called a veil that separated the holy place from the Holy of Holies, where God's presence dwelled. No one could go into the Holy of Holies except for a priest. But I want to hang out and talk about this curtain for a minute, this veil, as they would call it. In Exodus 26, 31 through 33, it says, "For inside the tabernacle, make a special curtain of finely woven linen, decorate it with blue and purple and scarlet thread with skillfully embroidered cherubim. Hang this curtain on gold hooks to 4 posts of acacia wood. Overlay the posts with gold and set them in 4 silver bases. Hang the inner curtain from clasps and put the Ark of the Covenant in the room behind it. This curtain will separate the holy place from the most holy place." You have to know, no one could go into that inner room, the most holy place. The only people that could go in there were the priests, and that was once a year. And it was said that they would even tie a rope around the priest's ankle, so that if he had done or said something wrong, or he hadn't atoned for his sin the right way, he would walk into the Holy of Holies and he would drop dead, because the power of God was that strong. And they would have to pull him out. So they would have this rope around his ankle. But the veil and the curtain is a picture of the barrier between a sinful man or woman like us and God, the most holy God. And there is this barrier. This curtain was 30 feet wide, 30 feet high, and it was 4 inches thick, a complete blocking of his presence. And I feel like we get to the point of feeling others are more worthy to come before him than us. We have completely blocked him out with the stuff in our lives. We have the attitude of they can worship, or they can enter his presence, or they can have a secret place, but not me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I've done. They can dwell in the secret place, but I'm too ashamed to enter. But you see, this all changed when Jesus stepped in. Because when Jesus came as 100% God, 100% man, and he chose to walk the road of the cross on his back and die a death of a sinless man for our sake. And you may hear the worship songs on Sundays in your church that says, the veil was torn. You see, the moment Jesus said his final words, "It is finished," and he breathed his last breath, that curtain tore in two from top to bottom in the temple. In Mark 15, 37 through 39, then Jesus uttered another loud cry and breathed his last. And the curtain in the sanctuary of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the Roman officer who was stood facing him saw how he had died, he exclaimed, "This man truly was the Son of God." So what is your curtain? What's blocking you from the presence of God in your life? What's holding you back from dwelling in his presence daily? Because we can now, if we have believed in our heart and confessed with our mouth that he is Lord, we can now enter that inner place. That intimate place where we bring our brokenness into his presence. And no one else can do it for us. It's not like it was back then when the priest went in. You can go into this place of intimacy with God where you feel him put you back together just by reaching out and saying, God, I need you. Just by being in his presence, when some days all the words you can get out is Jesus. When we come before God and worship and we're saying, here I am, all of me, it's all about you, like a fragrance broken on the floor. The good, the great, the bad, the ugly, he wants all of it. He wants all of it. Where you come and say, I don't want to do this alone anymore. Come close, and he will come close. And you have as much of him as you want. That's up to you. Because the moment he breathed his last breath, he breathed life into you and me. You know, we have a dog. Some of you have met her, and she doesn't know Jesus yet. We're still praying for her. It's been 10 years. But she likes to destroy our couches. It's very frustrating. I'm sure you guys that have dogs can relate, unless it's trained and perfect. But we have this couch, and she always loves to sit on the back of it like a cat. And so, like, she's on the back, but it, like, the tension, right, pulls it. There's holes in there. One day, our old couch, she had pulled all the stuffing out when I got home because it had totally ripped. I mean, she just is crazy. But I told Mike, I'm like, I can fix it. I can sew. So I went and got like the curved needle from Hobby Lobby and everything, and I would just sew that thing back up all the time. Like, we cannot afford a new couch. We are staying, and I just kept sewing it back up. But I think a lot of times we know the curtain is torn, and we know that we can enter into his presence. But I think sometimes we try to like sew it back up, or we try to duct tape the curtain with our unworthiness or our pain or our trauma or our guilt that tends to come in. And so we're like, oh, I can't enter in right now, so I'm just going to like patch this up. But he is saying, no, it's finished. The curtain is torn. You can enter in because there is a torn curtain for your torn heart. Come into my presence with all of your brokenness. It's a pure fragrance to me because there is healing in my presence. There is healing under my wings. And after time spent with Jesus, people will start to notice. People will start to notice. In Psalm 46, 4-5, in the Passion Translation, it says, God has a constantly flowing river whose sparkling streams bring joy and delight to his people. His river flows right through the city of God Most High into his most holy dwelling places. God is in the midst of the city, secure and never shaken. At daybreak, his help will be seen with the appearing of the dawn. And Psalm 34:5, gaze upon him. Join your life with his, and joy will come. Your faces will glisten with glory, and you'll never wear the same shame face again. We're wrapping up now. But I don't know where you guys are at today on your journey with the Lord. But I believe he's calling us women, us Bloom women, no matter what church you go to, no matter where you're from. But I think he's calling us to him. And he's saying that curtain is torn. You can come into my presence at any moment of the day, at any time of the day. When all you can do is just sit in his presence. That's when he starts to speak, though, when we start to be quiet. And so I'm going to invite us, we're going to sing this pure song again. I listened to this song at VU, the pastor's conference at VU in January, and I said to Michael, I think it's a new song. Well, then I got on Spotify, but I found it. And I said, Kayla, you got to sing this for Bloom. Because my heart is like Mary's heart. I want to sit at his feet. I want my brokenness to be a fragrance to him. Where he comes and he heals me in that secret place. Where I get up from that secret place and I can wage war with the enemy because he's come and he has sheltered me with his wings and he's saying, I got you. I'm going to take the predator for you. You just need to be still and rest in my shadow, in my secret place. And so tonight we're going to sing this song again, and then we're going to go downstairs and we are going to have fun. We're going to eat dips and desserts and all the things. I'll come and dismiss you at the end. But we're going to sing this song, and I want to encourage you. We usually have the prayer team up here, and they will be up here. If you need prayer, they will be up here. But I want you for just a few minutes of this song, I want you to come and spend time with him by yourself. Some of you have never done that. And if you don't know him, it's as simple as believing in your heart and confessing with your mouth that he is Lord. And you don't have to come up front. You can stay in your seat. I'm not going to make you feel uncomfortable, but if you want to come up front, do you know how many tears I've cried at this altar in 25 years? It's the same carpet, so they're still there. So we're going to sing this song together, and then I'll come back and dismiss us.